Even at the start of her career, Melissa Caddick was involved in sketchy practices. While Caddick was working at a small investment boutique, someone noticed discrepancies between her invoices and the actual payments received. This was shocking to Melissa's boss since he had believed her to be organized, well put together, and reliable. But it turned out Melissa had been forging checks with her boss's signature. That would have been enough to press charges. However, her boss opted not to pursue it. Instead, Caddick's boss showed her the checks, proving he knew what was going on. He allowed her to walk away, which she did hastily. The small amount of money wasn't worth getting the police involved. Furthermore, the court of public opinion might derail his entire company over the actions of one bad employee. Overall, they were relieved Melissa was out of their lives. In hindsight, the decision to let her just walk away was a mistake. Even if no serious charges were filed, it would have popped up on Melissa's record, making it difficult for her to find work in the financial field ever again. Her boss's mistake cost innocent people millions of dollars. Even though the amount taken was small, no one in the financial world would have been willing to work with an individual who commits fraud and theft. Once a thief, likely always a thief. Money wasn't the only thing Melissa stole. She'd swipe tiny, inconsequential things like salt and pepper shakers, stray utensils, and other random items. This baffled her friends, but it showed a pattern with Melissa's behavior. She didn't just steal because she needed to, she stole because she liked it. Nothing about Melissa was out of the ordinary when she was growing up. She was a below-average math student who wanted to be a ballerina, but she didn't have the body for it. The only noteworthy thing about her was her interest in fashion and her strive to be the best, coolest, and most popular person around. This continued into her adult life when she enrolled in a secretary course that held the motto, either the best or nothing. Melissa fit right in. In pursuit of her high aspirations, she'd dressed to impress and spoke passionately about her future. She believed she was more than just a secretary, and she wanted everyone to know it. All they knew was how much better she thought she was. This took an unfortunate turn when Melissa thought she had fallen in love. In her early 20s, the best time to fall in love, Melissa met a man in a bar and they soon began dating. Quickly, things began going missing from Melissa's family home. Concerned, her parents took matters into their own hands and hired a private investigator. The investigator was able to identify the man as a con artist who preys on naive women to take their money and valuables. Melissa didn't thank her when her parents told her the troubling news. Instead, she ran away with him and went ballistic on her family. The family begged Melissa's best friend to talk some sense into her, but she believed Melissa could work it out herself. It wasn't long until Melissa came back home devastated and broke. She had maxed out her credit cards and left. Her family thought this was a horrible way for Melissa to learn a lesson, but hoped she would be wiser in the future. Instead, Melissa learned a more devious lesson. After leaving the boutique investment firm virtually unscathed, Melissa began a new journey. She focused on getting in better shape and eventually met a personal trainer. That trainer, in turn, introduced her to a financial advisor who was looking to train someone to be an office manager at Wise Financial Services. This was right up Melissa's alley. After a couple of years at the firm, Melissa took the necessary training to become a financial planner. Her clients loved her, and everyone thought she was doing amazing work. Soon, she borrowed $750K to buy a 25% stake in the business. Word quickly spread about the amazing financial advisor, and soon Melissa was featured in magazines. Ironically, her big advice on how to find a financial advisor included a warning against financial advisors who were less than honest. The next time she would be featured in this magazine, it would be as a con artist. Things stopped going Melissa's way when she was denied the ability to recommend investments other than managed investment funds, including shares and property. After this denial in 2004, Melissa left Wise, recouping her $750,000 investment. Melissa was doing as well as any financial advisor, perhaps too well for her own good. Her clients questioned how she afforded such an affluent lifestyle, so Melissa spun another lie. According to her, Wise awarded her an $86 million severance package upon her departure. Now that she was a wealthy, self-made woman, she wanted to enlist her services to help others as independent financial manager. Depending on who you were, Melissa's story was always different. Another of Melissa's friends, who refused to invest with her, said Melissa received a massive payout from Wise over a successful harassment lawsuit. Melissa did more than simply lie about her professional life. She also concocted a tangled web of lies about her personal life. In April of 2000, she married Tony Caddick. They had a son together and moved to the UK, where Tony had just secured a new job. Melissa got lonely as Tony commuted to London every morning and presumably returned late every night. Her old hairdresser was the only person keeping her any company. Unfortunately, he was back in Australia. They'd talk over WhatsApp, but the relationship went further than a few innocent "who are you?" Melissa told Tony about a financial conference in Switzerland that she planned on attending. Secretly, she went to Paris to have an affair with none other than her hairdresser, Anthony Coletti. WhatsApp messages confirmed that Melissa paid to fly Anthony all over the world to continue their affair. Tony confronted her about the affair, which ultimately led to their divorce. She remarried with Anthony and claimed her ex-husband was controlling and abusive. She turned her friends and family against him to cover her own tracks, and the new couple returned to Australia. She sold their $1.5 million home after winning it in the divorce settlement and lived with her hairdresser and son in a 5-bed, 5-bath house in Rose Bay. Meanwhile, poor Tony drove around in a second-hand Hyundai and rented a small apartment nearby. He just wanted to be close to his son. Melissa set her sights on her best friend, Joanna, as the first target for her scam. Melissa made it seem simple enough. She was making money for herself by buying and selling shares. She could just do that for Joanna too. She saw no reason not to trust her friend, so Joanna handed everything to Melissa. Because things were supposedly going so well, it wasn't long before Melissa began investing on behalf of Joanna's entire family. Things were going smoothly for Melissa, so smoothly that she started her own company, Maliver. Any client who signed up for a Maliver received a 7-page service guide filled with lies about her financial achievements. Other lies included a master's degree in business and a certified membership to the Financial Planning Association of Australia. She didn't even have a license to operate her business. Instead, she copied and used the license of another woman and passed it off as her own. After clients signed up, they placed their money into a Commonwealth bank account and were given a fake trading account. Not only were these accounts phony, but Melissa was back to old tricks, forging her clients' signatures whenever necessary. Not only that, she forged her father-in-law's signature when a justice of the peace was needed to witness the signing of documents. Heartlessly, most of Melissa's victims were family and friends, and she had no problem using them. On the outside, it seemed Melissa had a fantastic life. She threw a luxury wedding and took an $80,000 vacation in Aspen. She also passed off client money as her own and purchased her dream home to the tune of $6.2 million. Her luxurious spending would continue for years, only treating herself and her family to the finest luxuries, all while knowing it was their money she was spending. Overall, Melissa had an impressive run. Her scam ran from 2012 to 2020. She lied to and convinced more than 60 people who trusted her with $30 million worth of their savings. Melissa never invested a single dollar on their behalf. Once the scam blew up in her face, only $7 million was recovered. We assume she spent the rest on herself. Her final tab featured $200,000 worth of jewelry and fancy European designer items. She bought her hairdresser husband a $390,000 Audi to cap it off. Despite her success, Melissa did encounter some close calls in her life of crime. In 2016, a surgeon who had invested with Melissa asked about making other arrangements for his fund. Fearing an investigation, Melissa quickly returned the surgeon's money to him without even consulting him first. Another crack in her scheme came in 2019. Another surgeon and his wife considered investing when his wife began asking Melissa questions. Her questions were basic and understandable. She just wanted to know how the investment strategy worked. Since Ponzi scheme was not an acceptable answer, Melissa faked a family emergency and never spoke to them again. The wife didn't stop there, though. She contacted the woman who actually held Melissa's financial services license, and quickly an anonymous tip was given to the ASIC. Melissa knew nothing about the anonymous tip, and life continued on as normal for her, including another trip to Aspen, where she met another potential investor. After returning to Australia, the Aspen investor had made a great return on her $1 million investment, prompting her to invest a total of $2.5 million in under a year. Later that year, while at the dentist, this investor was talking with someone nearby who turned out to be a financial advisor. The Aspen investor was thrilled to meet another money-savvy woman, but her heart sank to her stomach when she learned a devastating truth. The woman she was speaking to was the financial advisor Melissa had been masquerading as. The investor called Melissa that same day, claiming she suddenly found a house to buy and needed all her money. Melissa returned the call the next day, claiming that her investment account would yield better returns than any piece of property. The Aspen investor was not biting, becoming one of the few lucky ones. Not only did she get all her money back, but she also got $300K in fake returns. Now that the investigators were closing in, Caddick saw no other choice but to disappear rather than face jail. Her son heard the door slam around 5:30 one morning. Melissa supposedly walked out and was never heard from again. Nobody saw any trace of her until a severed foot washed up on the shore. Some people were cleaning trash off the beach when they found the foot and called the police. Not the kind of trash they were looking to clean, right? Police matched Melissa's DNA with the foot, and now they had a missing person and potential death on their hands. Melissa was facing 38 criminal charges after investigators raided her home. These charges were dropped upon Melissa's presumed death. What else could they believe after finding her foot? However, there are still civil charges pending, meaning her estate will be sold to repay the victims of the case. While it seems like Melissa is dead and nothing else is going on with the case, not everyone believes what they're hearing. Some claim that she took her own life or someone took it for her, while others think she faked her death to avoid prison. Did her investors take the law into their own hands? Who did her son hear leaving the house that morning? It's possible to survive without a foot, so some believe she cut it off herself as a distraction to avoid detection. If you see a middle-aged con woman hopping around off the coast of Australia, let us know. Click here to watch one of these next videos. And let us know in the comments section whether you think it was Caddick's clients taking matters into their own hands or something else happened.